Hi everybody and welcome to A Better You, your one-stop shop for everything self-improvement, self-discovery and self-care. I'm Emily and today we're going to talk about setting goals and resetting for the new year. So I'm very conscious that 2020 has been a bit of a nightmare for a lot of people, and it really feels like this year is an important year to really take stock and consider what we've achieved in 2020, how we need to reset and heal from the things that might have happened in 2020, and how we need to rebuild ourselves back up in advance of 2021 and the methods that we can use to do that. So, with all that said, let's begin.
We're fast approaching Christmas, and with it, the time that many of us retreat to spend time with our family and friends and really relax and just take our work clothes off and put our PJs on for the Christmas period and spend time with family and drink and have lots of food and really just enjoy ourselves. But to do that, we really need to make sure that we don't have these stresses lingering from the year. And we need to make sure that we're prepared for the year ahead so that we can start 2021 off on the right foot. So, with all that said, this method will allow you to really think about what you've achieved in 2020 and what you would like to achieve in 2021. So, to begin with, first of all, you are going to write down your 2020 successes. Now, even if the year feels like it might have been a struggle, think back because there will definitely be things that you have achieved. For example, because of the lockdowns across different areas, it might be that you've spent more time with your family than usual. Whatever your successes are, pop them down on a sheet of paper, as you can see me doing here. My key successes for the year is that I've continued to learn 6 languages. At the start of the year, I was only learning 2. Maddie, my daughter, has received a head teacher's award, considering for half the year we were teaching her. I've cleared my skin. My skin was a nightmare at the start of the year and now it's not. My husband, after taking time off to look after our children, is now back to work, or at least starting on with that. I have recently found out that I have a new job. I've started a YouTube channel and I've got a lot closer to my family. It's really important to think of your successes in different categories. For example, you might be doing well at work, you might be doing well at home. But it's also really important to consider what could have gone better. And there will, of course, have been things that could have gone better, especially in 2020 of all the years. And what we're going to do is we're going to write them down, and we're going to write down then what we've learned from them as well, because that's the really key part, is making sure that we're learning from things that go wrong. And as you can see, when I've written this down, I've written struggles as opposed to failures. So I think it's really important to see these things as an opportunity to grow rather than personal failures. The things that I've been struggling with this year is it's been a tough year at work. We haven't been able to travel, obviously, and we've had a few deaths in the family and a few deaths of friends. And we've also, as everybody has in Corona, somewhat had money worries. The things that I've learned from this year of stress and challenge, probably the really key one, before you even see me writing my list, is that family is absolutely everything. I think we've all learned to really take stock of what we have and realise that potentially our possessions are not the most important thing, that really the most important thing is our families. And on my list here, you can see this written down in different ways to some extent. So I've really learned that interdependence, that is supporting one another, not being dependent on others, but not just being independent, learning to rely on other people as you help them as well, has really been a lesson this year. Obviously, as I've said, family and love absolutely come first, and work at the end of the day is there to pay for your life and not the other way around. Not being able to travel in 2020 has actually shown me, or probably reaffirmed, how important travel is to me. I think I could do without most of my possessions. I could become very easily minimalist. But the one thing that I really need in my life to keep me calm, to keep me sane, to keep me happy is the potential to go out and travel, to go out on adventures, and to really have that freedom to go and explore new things. I've managed to do that through languages this year, but I would have preferred to do that through traveling. And I think the final thing as well is really that spirituality for me has been such an amazing tool this year. In previous years, I probably wasn't as spiritual, and I think this year we've probably needed that extra element. And it's been really, really useful and really comforting in a quite stressful and painful year. Again, my marriage and kids are obviously the most important, and I suppose this year has obviously also shown us all how important it is to be very financially secure, to not be in debt, so that if the worst happens from a financial markets point of view, that you rely only on yourself. And I think this has really started our paying off any debt journey. And the things I've also learned are 6 languages, obviously. The next thing that you're going to do to really take stock of how you're feeling about each category of your life is to create something called a life wheel. And to create a life wheel, and apologies because this is not very aesthetic, so this is definitely there for practical purposes in this video, you will need to create a circular wheel with lots of wheels inside it, marked 1 to 10. And this is essentially going to be categorized by different areas of your life. Now, you can do this in the same way that I've categorized it, or you can create other categories that are more important to you. So, for example, I've created categories around things like love and travel and family, finances, health. But it might be that, for example, you are running a business, or it might be that you don't have kids and that's not as important to you, but your friends are more important. In which case, create your categories to make sure that they're the most important things to you, that they are really things that you want to be successful at and that mean a lot to you to get these things right. Once you've created the categories, what you're going to do is you're going to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 as to how satisfied you are with where you are with that thing. So, for example, if you are feeling fantastically successful at work, you're flourishing, you just got promoted, then you might rate that a 10. Whereas if you're feeling like you're maybe stagnating a little at that moment in time, then you would maybe rate that as a lower score. What this allows you to do is really see in a very snapshot, quick view as to the areas that really need the attention at the moment to help you to improve those areas of your life. But it also shows you where you are succeeding, when you are where you are feeling really fantastic about. So, for example, when I did my life oil, it's really pointed out the fact that I'm really happy with where my relationship is and with where my family life is. The benefit of lockdown this year has been that we've got more time together, and that's been absolutely fantastic, and it's really improved the scores for those particular areas in my life, which is absolutely fantastic. Once you have your life wheel all nicely coloured in and all nicely completed, hopefully a touch more aesthetically than mine is, then you can move on to creating a list of quick wins. And these are things that you might be able to do in 2020 to improve a score in a particular category. Now, these are things that literally you've got 2 weeks, 3 weeks to do potentially. So these are not things that are huge goals. These might be continuation of habits. This might be a quick clean around your house. But it's things that you can do before Christmas that really just might help you to feel a touch better, or potentially just before the new year. But it's something to start you out on the right foot as opposed to huge goals. These are things that you can finish now, get done, and feel better over the holiday period having done them. So from my perspective, the £10 is somewhat of a tongue-in-cheek one. That won't happen, obviously, especially over Christmas. But the rest of them are potentially easier to achieve. For example, eating more fruit and veg, getting out for more walks, generally having less stress in my life over the next few weeks. Potential things that you could put on this list are things like making a budget and putting it down on paper. It could be to give yourself a mini makeover. It could be to go on a family walk a week. It could be to download an organisation app. All of these things are nice, quick wins that you can do just to get yourself organised before the new year. And they don't take too much effort, it's nice and easy. On my particular list, again, I have split them down and I've tried to focus in on the things that create me more stress. So I focused in on health, and our home just needs a few touches at the moment. So we're in the middle of doing the bathroom up. I want to get that finished off. But again, they're things that are achievable for me probably quite easily. And then with that done, the next step is to start thinking about 2021 and saying bye-bye to the horrendous year that 2020 has been. So the next key step is to think about your top 3 goals for 2021. And what I would really suggest you do here is look back at your life wheel and look at those areas that you rated particularly low. Now, on my particular list, I rated my work particularly low, my finances particularly low, and obviously travel particularly low. And so what I've tried to do on my top 3 goals is to really try to focus in on those areas because they do need the most attention. So for my top 3 goals, I've put that I would like to be happier at work and more fulfilled in my job, to get as close as possible to paying off all of our debt by 2022, and to actually be allowed and to do leaving the country to actually travel again, which would be absolutely fantastic. For each goal, the next step is to then break that goal down into 3 to 5 either manageable actions or daily habits. So when I did this at the start of this year, my focus was on languages, and I created mostly habits as a result. So those were daily habits that I had to do to learn the languages. But for my goals this year, they feel more along the lines of those big actions that I can take for the most part. So you can see here for each one of them, all I'm doing is breaking it out into underlying goals. It can be quite loose on this because it is a whole year that you have to do things. But again, it's just making sure that you've got those targets in place so that you know where you should be going in 2021. Now for my particular ones, my be happier at work goal, I've put on there that the ideal would be to change jobs, which I am going to be, to grow side hustles to make sure that I am not dependent on a job, and to really invest the time in my own development, which I don't feel like I always spend enough time doing. From a debt perspective, my husband is going back to work after spending time off with our kids, which should really, really help with our debt. And I think it's really key as well for us to stick to our budget and really make sure that where we are spending money is things that we really value. And again, the side hustles are really key for the debt payoff. And then finally, the travel goal, actually being allowed to leave the country for a break. And with this one, I've put 3 different places down that we might like to go see. So we probably won't go see all of them, obviously, but it more gives us a bit of inspiration for the start of the year as to where we might book. And those 3 on that list are Göbekli Tepe, New York to see my godson, or potentially a European road trip. And with all that said, that gives my top 3 goals and actions for 2021. Next, I move on to a more generic assessment of who I would like to be and how I want to feel in 2021. So really trying to take it back to that kind of who you are as a person, and all goals are essentially about how you would like to feel. So it really takes it back to that core so that when you're seeing how you're doing at your goals, you can be really realistic and you can keep the spirit of making goals in check. So if you're still meeting who you want to be as a person and how you'd like to feel, then essentially you're meeting your goals, whether or not your goals change throughout 2021. For example, if there's a pandemic. On mine, I want to keep my focus on family, feel fulfilled and successful at work, walking lots, feeling good about myself, try to keep clear skin and at the right weight for me, feel happy, calm, in control, free to adventure, and really adulting properly from a financial perspective, and just keeping that spiritual peacefulness that I've managed to build for myself this year. And last but definitely not least, I write my final 2021 to-do list, and this is just literally a brain dump of the things that I still need to do. Now, bear in mind when I'm filming this, it is not when it's released, so it's a touch earlier in the year. We're at the start of December, so I still have some things on there that are Christmas planning type of things. For example, wrapping presents, and I've got a doll's house to make for my daughter, and some junk journal type of things to do for my mum and Maddie. So there are some bits and bobs that I still have to do, and this just helps me have that clean to-do list at the start of 2021. And that is that. So hopefully you will enjoy your own 2020 resetting and 2021 planning. Please let us know in the comments what your 2021 goals are and what your 2020 successes were. Please subscribe for more self-care, self-improvement and self-discovery content. We do post every Wednesday or Thursday. And please do like this video. Have a prosperous, happy and healthy 2021.